What's up, guys? It's me, Straw Hat Nate, and I'm back with a new One Piece chapter review. This week we got chapter 1112 of One Piece titled Hard Aspect. So the wait is finally over. With this chapter, we are finally back to our regular release schedule of One Piece after the long, grueling 3-week break. And the chapter gets right into the action too. The majority of the chapter is filled with fights across the entirety of Egghead Island, showing the minor ones like Frankie's fight, and also the major ones like Luffy's fight. We know Oda likes to jam-pack his chapters, so we will be jumping around a lot from location to location throughout this review. And while all the fighting is occurring, there's still stuff going on in the background with St. Marcus Mars and Miss Buckingham Stussy. We will talk more about that when it comes up in the chapter, so I say let's get into the chapter review. But we can't start the video without you liking it and subscribing to the channel. Thanks. So, starting with the cover, as always, we continue with the Yamato cover story that we began recently. In this one, Yamato is just borrowing money from Kinemon before she departs on her journey across Wano. She wants to journey across Wano like Odin did, so she needs money for that. And I feel like Oda is making this cover story just because he misses drawing Yamato. The chapter really begins now with showing a perspective shot of the destroyed island. And Egghead Island is completely devastated because of the Marine Buster call, along with just the sheer power of the Gorosei. Then, on the island, we see one of these Gorosei, St. Venus Juro, galloping through the flames as he had pretty much cut through every last one of the Pacifista. So now the Pacifista are completely gone out of the equation, and Venus Juro turns his attention to going to Bonnie, and we actually get a moment of personality from him here, since he seems to question why he must strike down this innocent 12-year-old girl, Bonnie. Then, over by the Elbath ship where Bonnie is currently at, we see some fighting going on between the Straw Hats and the Vice Admirals that are trying to stop them from leaving. And first off, we see Frankie literally one-shot Vice Admiral Red King with his strong right, which is no small feat. Vice Admirals are very powerful, and Frankie has now proven to be beyond that level. And next up to the fight is Vice Admiral Pomsky, who is quickly neutralized by Bonnie when she turns him into a child. And it's kind of funny because she brutally kicks the child Pomsky, which causes quite the reaction from his fellow Vice Admiral who's there, guillotine. But cutting away from that scene now, we head up to the Labo phase, where a lot of stuff happens. Just a reminder, Vegapunk's recording is still being played on the screen, and they state here that there's 4 minutes left until they start revealing the juicy secrets that Vegapunk is holding. And Mars, in his demon bird form, still asks York if this is the room where the recording is, and York confirms that this is the room where they filmed the video. But before she even answers that it's probably not where it's being broadcasted from, Mars sends a huge beam through the building, literally destroying the entire room. This is a crazy feat by Mars, but it accomplishes nothing, and York, who is less serious than Mars, still has to think about where this broadcast could be coming from. Mars doesn't have time though, so he says he's just gonna destroy everything, but that would just be dumb. York stops him with the excuse that the weapon manufacturing floor, along with the power plant of Egghead, will all be destroyed if he destroys everything, and the government kind of needs these things. And even though she is stopping Mars from doing what he wants, York is still determined to stop the broadcast because she wants to be on the Gorosei's side so that she can become a celestial dragon. Then Mars hears a voice from Punk Records all the way at the top of the island, which could be a transponder snail that is responsible for the broadcast, so he flies off. But on the ground where they took off, Stussy and Kaku are still there. Although they are Cypher Pole Zero agents, the two of them are unfamiliar with the demon forms that the Gorosei don, and they don't know what they're doing here in the first place. Stussy shows off her bravery and valor because she tells Kaku that she stayed behind in order to open up the Frontier Dome, allowing everyone to escape. This unfortunately means that she will have to be left behind. So we're going to have another situation similar to Impel Down with Mr. 2 Bon Clay. Maybe this sacrifice will make Stussy a fan favorite like how Bon Clay is. Now, elsewhere in the Labo phase, Edison tells the group of Straw Hats that he's with that he will have to go to the command room to let down the Frontier Dome. Even though we as a reader know Stussy is going to do it, all of the Straw Hats here now plan on how they're going to escape because they need to escape soon. And they're going to utilize both the Vega Force 1 and the Coup de Burst on the Sunny, which is the same plan they've had the whole time, but it's a viable strategy. Edison seems impressed by the crew's planning skills, and now he, after calculating the risks of death, leaps through the Frontier Dome and miraculously lives. I guess it was not a miracle though, because he, as the scientist that he is, calculated that he would be fine. We are just now getting to the main conflict. Luffy, in Gear 5 mode, alongside Dory and Bragi, are facing off against Saint Jupiter and Saint Warcury. You might notice that Saint Saturn is not here, but we'll see him later. Jupiter, the sandworm, is sucking a lot of stuff into his huge mouth, which poses a threat until Luffy finds a creative solution. Luffy throws a nearby building, the entire building, into Jupiter's throat, which succeeds in incapacitating him for a while. But the situation is still not good because now Luffy has run out of Gear 5 and he's now becoming an old shriveled man. Thankfully though, Luffy has friends to feed him when he does this. Dory and Bragi give Luffy a food from Elbaf called Hakarl, which smells horrid to Luffy, but he eats it anyway because it'll get him his power back. Hakarl is actually a real food from Iceland, which is just fermented shark, and that explains why Luffy finds it so gross. But alas, the food gets Luffy back up and better than ever, so it was worth it. But he doesn't jump straight back into Gear 5, which is a smart choice, I think, since his stamina is struggling. Now, as Saint Warcury comes charging into attack, Luffy uses an attack that we haven't seen since he used it on Kaido, Red Rock. Unlike when he attacked Kaido back then, this time attacking Warcury physically hurts Luffy's hand, which goes to show the crazy defensive capabilities of the Gorosei, and specifically Saint Warcury. But Luffy is not going back into Gear 5 just to be safe, which could be an issue because we see that here in Gear 3, Luffy is taking damage when he didn't take damage in Gear 5. So this could be a problem. Moving away from this scene, back into the Labo phase, I told you we were jumping around a lot. We see Saint Saturn's claws climbing up onto the cloud, and Usopp, Nami, and Chopper don't know what it is yet, but this could be very bad for them. They haven't even seen Saint Saturn yet, so they don't know about his power. On the ground, by the Elbaf ship again, we see the haunting figure of Saint Venus Juro as he enters the fight with Bonnie and Frankie and the others. This panel of Venus Juro is a scary but also a pretty cool panel at the same time. Lastly, all the way up in Punk Records at the top of the island, Mars enters, back in his human form too. There is only 1 minute left before Vegapunk's broadcast reveals everything, but Mars is confident here because he sees the transponder snail right in front of him that he believes is responsible for the broadcast. But in the darkness of Punk Records, there's a mysterious bubble noise that Mars notices, and it leaves a cliffhanger for the next chapter. We don't actually find out what these bubbles are, but there are plenty of theories, from a brain in a jar, Vegapunk's real brain, to vats of clones of possibly like Rock's pirates, to even just a water trap perhaps. And that's the end of the chapter though. We don't actually find out what these mysterious bubbles are. In retrospect, the chapter didn't have any like super huge moments that we come to expect with One Piece, but it was still excellent because of the smaller moments all put together. I think we expect too much from One Piece nowadays because these things that we consider small and less hype would probably be peak moments in any other manga, being honest. Transitioning into the events of the chapter though, for a little bit, we really got another complete look at the entire situation on every location at Egghead. We jumped around from the coast by the Elbaf ship where Frankie had his moment, to the remains of the lab where Stussy had her moment, to the Frontier Dome where Edison shocked us all, to the center of the island where Luffy continues to go crazy in Gear 5 against the Gorosei, to even Punk Records with Mars at the end there. So it was a great chapter, and I can't wait for the next weeks so we can figure out what this secret is about Punk Records that Mars looked confused about. And luckily it'll be next week because there's no break. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, like and subscribe to show your support. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.